The chamber of Congress was supposed to be calm, but instead it shook like a battlefield. Cameras flashed, voices roared, and all eyes turned to the two men who have defined America's deepest divide. Donald Trump, leaning forward with a fiery glare, slammed the table with his hand. His voice thundered across the room. "This so-called border deal is a surrender. It is the death of America's security." The words echoed through the hall, silencing some, inflaming others. Joe Biden rose slowly, gripping the podium, his voice firm but sharp. "You call it surrender, Donald. I call it responsibility. America needs solutions, not circus stunts. This deal protects families, strengthens law enforcement, and restores order." The crowd inside erupted. Some members pounded their desks in support of Trump, shouting, "No open borders!" Others clapped loudly for Biden, chanting, "Let him speak!" The scene descended into chaos. The tension was electric, like a storm building over the Capitol dome. Trump cut through the noise, pointing directly at Biden. "You've thrown this nation's safety to the wolves. You let criminals, traffickers, and drugs pour into our towns, and you dare call this leadership?" Biden's reply came quick, sharp, and unshaken. "What I call leadership is refusing to build walls of fear. What I call leadership is facing the truth. We need order, not division. You never solved it, Donald. You only built slogans." The clash was raw, unfiltered, and it was only the beginning. Congress had turned into an arena, and the entire nation was watching. The fight was not just about words. It was about the future of a deal that had already torn Washington apart. Biden's team had spent weeks crafting a compromise. Billions in funding for border technology, more patrol agents, and faster asylum processing. To Biden, it was proof that his administration could deliver order without cruelty. To Trump, it was betrayal dressed as reform. Inside the chamber, lawmakers took sides like soldiers choosing banners. Democrats rallied around Biden, insisting that compromise was the only way to prevent paralysis. "The people want action, not another shutdown," shouted one congressman, his voice drowned out by heckles. On the Republican side, loyalists raised their fists and echoed Trump's line, "No deal is better than a weak deal." The media had already labeled it the showdown of the year. Reporters packed the balconies, scribbling furiously as the clash unfolded. Headlines were being written in real time. Trump accuses Biden of surrender. Biden fires back, responsibility over fear. Even independents and moderates, usually silent, were drawn into the storm. One senator stood up, trembling with anger. "This is not just about the border. This is about whether America still has a government that can function." His words sparked fresh eruptions of shouting. Cameras caught every angle. Networks split their screens. Biden steady at the podium, Trump pacing like a lion in the pit. Members of Congress screaming over one another. The speaker pounding the gavel so hard it sounded like a drum of war. The world outside felt the tremors too. Protesters gathered outside the Capitol, some waving flags demanding stronger walls, others holding banners declaring humanity first. Social media lit up in real time. Hashtags like #BorderDeal and #CongressChaos trended worldwide. What was supposed to be a legislative debate had become a spectacle, and both Trump and Biden knew it was bigger than policy. It was about image, power, and the soul of the nation. The noise swelled until it was deafening. Trump raised his hand, demanding silence, and when the chamber quieted just enough, he struck. "Joe, you are selling America for a headline. You open the gates and you let the wolves in. Every family in this country will pay the price. Every child will grow up in danger because you don't have the courage to stand firm." Gasps filled the room. Some lawmakers shouted in agreement, "He's right! Protect our borders!" Others jeered, calling Trump's words fear-mongering. Biden shot back with no hesitation. "Donald, you had 4 years, and you built nothing but slogans, a wall that never got finished, promises that collapsed under your chaos. What I'm building is real security, not just cement, but order, fairness, and the strength of law." The chamber shook as voices overlapped. A Republican representative leapt to his feet, screaming, "Lies! You're handing America to cartels!" A Democrat countered from across the aisle, yelling, "Trump failed! Biden's cleaning up the mess!" The speaker's gavel slammed again and again, but the noise drowned it out. Trump leaned closer, his voice cutting like steel. You talk about order, Joe, but your order is chaos. You've left our agents powerless, our borders broken, and our people betrayed. You are the president who surrendered. Biden's reply was swift, his voice rising above the uproar. And you, Donald, are the president who divided. You fed America anger and left it starving for solutions. I won't let you turn this chamber into your stage of lies again. The clash escalated beyond debate. Members shouted over one another, reporters whispered about history unfolding, and the nation itself seemed to hang in the balance. Every word now was not just an argument, it was ammunition. Trump slammed his fist on the desk so hard that microphones rattled. His voice cut through the thunder of the chamber like a strike of lightning. This deal is not a compromise. It is the coffin of America, and I will bury it right here in front of every single one of you. The room exploded. Republican allies roared in approval, chanting, "No deal! No deal!" Democrats shouted back, "Enough lies!" The gavel pounded like a war drum, but no one could hear it anymore. Biden leaned forward, his eyes locked on Trump, his tone icy but booming. You think walls will save this country, Donald? They will only divide it further. Walls don't build a future, people do. And America deserves a future stronger than your fear. The chamber shook under the weight of those words. Some gasped, others stood and applauded, but no one remained still. Trump fired back instantly. Your future is weakness, your future is surrender, and history will remember that Donald J. Trump stood here today to stop it. Biden didn't flinch. He lifted his hand, pointing toward Trump, his voice ringing clear above the chaos. And history will remember you, Donald, not as a savior, but as the man who tried to burn this house down because he couldn't control it. The noise reached its peak. Reporters shouted into their cameras. Protesters outside screamed loud enough to be heard through the walls. The Capitol itself seemed to quake with the force of the clash. In that moment, the chamber was no longer a hall of government. It was an arena, and the two gladiators in the center were fighting not just for a deal, but for the soul of America. The uproar in Congress refused to die down. Lawmakers kept shouting across the aisles. The speaker's gavel cracked against the podium until it nearly splintered, and outside the Capitol, the protests swelled louder with every passing minute. America was watching itself unravel in real time. Trump, refusing to yield, barked one last line above the storm. If this deal passes, America falls, and I will fight it every single day until the last brick of your false future crumbles. His voice carried like a battle cry, and his supporters in the chamber erupted with cheers. Biden, steady at the podium, answered with words that rang like steel. No matter how loud you shout, Donald, the truth is stronger than fear. This deal is not surrender, it is survival, it is stability, and it is the path forward for the United States of America. The chamber split into chaos once more, half drowning in applause, half in furious jeers. Reporters spoke breathlessly into their microphones. Headlines flashed across screens. Congress in turmoil as Trump and Biden clash. Border deal sparks historic uproar. Across the nation, families watched with divided hearts. Some cheered Trump's defiance, convinced he alone had the strength to stop the tide. Others stood with Biden, believing compromise was the only way to keep the country together. But what no one could deny was this. America had reached a breaking point. The clash inside Congress was more than policy. It was a mirror held up to a nation fractured by fear and hope, anger and faith. As the chamber slowly emptied, the echoes lingered. The battle lines had been drawn, and the fight for the border and for the very idea of America was only beginning.